everyone, I am the Athletic Geek, and welcome to this week's Comic Shop Adventure. As per every week, this is the time where I venture away from the homestead at Athletic Geek HQ and go on my weekly adventure to the comic shop to pick up the bounty of my pull lists, trade paperbacks, classic books, action figure statues, whatever the adventure and bounty might come up with. As per usual, before I head out on this week's adventure, I talk about what stood out from my pull list last week, and unfortunately, or maybe fortunately, as the case may be, things just kind of stayed the same. My top three books came from DC. Green Lanterns, the conclusion of the what was going on with Jessica Cruz's memories, is a very good book, very good conclusion to that story arc. At the end of it, Jessica's done something to upset the Guardians and upset Hal Jordan, so we'll see how that plays out in the coming issues. Batwoman, the Fall of the House of Kane story, wrapped up, and there's not really much I can say about Batwoman except for just read the book. It's a tremendous book. If you're not reading Batwoman, there's a problem, because it's one of the best books out there. And then finally, the Batman storyline with Booster Gold has kind of reached its conclusion. This one was one I feel like I was kind of critical of this one a little bit more in past adventures and past reviews, where I didn't really understand what was going on. It was a good storyline, but I was just kind of confused as to everything going on. But it turns out that this is kind of an alternative future where Bruce's parents didn't die, and Booster Gold, from his timeline, needed there to be a Batman. So he needed something to happen to Bruce in order to get him to become Batman. And it's now whenever all the questions got answered, it's it made the rest of the story better, because it all just built to a really, really good ending. So I enjoyed that one, but now we're back on track to the Batman, Catwoman, Bruce, Selina wedding. On the Marvel side of things, the Jason Aaron Avengers really stood out for me last week, and definitely going to be keeping that on my pull list. I mean, Jason Aaron just can write Marvel, man. He can just write Marvel characters well, and I've always enjoyed his writing, and I'm going to keep reading his Avengers run. Hopefully it maintains this level. I mean, no writer is perfect, but just Jason Aaron Marvel characters, it's pretty damn good. But on that note, it is time to venture to the comic shop. I will be back with you when I return here to the homestead with my bounty from this week's comic shop adventure. See you in a bit. Well, everyone, I am back here at the homestead, finally, here back at Athletic Geek HQ, and we got a smaller bounty this week from this week's comic shop adventure. So, to not waste any more time, we're going to start off with Justice League No Justice, number 3 of 4. First two issues have been really good, and I'm really interested to see how Snyder continues to write the Justice League going forward. Story's pretty interesting. This is just pretty much this. From what I've been led to understand, this is just the setup to the rest of his run, and I'm really looking forward to reading the rest of the miniseries and his ongoing. So, Justice League No Justice, number 3. We have The Flash, number 47. Flash War Part 1. So, you got Barry and the pre-Flashpoint Wally. So, I've said every week this has been, kind of one of the most, almost a criminally underrated series since DC Rebirth. So, looking forward to seeing, or I should say reading more of this series and seeing where it goes. So, there. Terrifics, number 4. This book's just kind of, this is a neat, interesting book. It's written by Jeff Lemire. It's just kind of it's the definitely not your A-list heroes, but they're telling a very, very good story here. Love this cover with Plastic Man. Plastic Man's kind of always been one of my favorites that have kind of, don't really get used very often, and, it's kind of a nice, funny character, and Metamorpho, terrific. Just wouldn't expect anything less from Jeff Lemire, so. And got Hal Jordan, the Green Lantern Corps, going to the Green Lantern books for the week. And the Dark Star Rising storyline continues. This last issue was very, very good, with the Zod appearance and with what Jon Stewart did. So we're going to, hopefully they'll keep the momentum going and just be a good book. I mean, we just have good books. Like, I mean, there's really not much to say about them other than the fact that I just had, these are just some damn fine comic books right now, and there's damn fine series to just keep reading. It's, if you're a fan of these characters, these books won't disappoint you. And finally, rounding out the DC for the week, we have Detective Comics number 981. You've heard me, ever since the beginning of this web series, you've heard me praise Detective Comics. Well, I know Tinian's coming to, his run on this book will be coming to an end shortly, if not in this book. So I'm very, very interested to see how this storyline concludes, and then where Detective Comics will go from there, because he set a tremendous standard as the writer of Detective Comics since the DC Rebirth, and I hope it can keep up. But this is probably one of the best runs on Detective in quite some time. This has put the book back up there with Batman. It's it's a toss-up on whether Detective or Batman is the better book, but honestly, it's made this book. He's made this book feel important again, and yeah, I think that he deserves a lot of credit for what he has been able to do with this book, with the characters in the Batman family, with the new direction he went, having Clayface as part of the team, helping develop Tim Drake more, helping develop Batwoman more. What a great series. We will now go to the Marvel side of things. We have X-Men Gold, number 28, Till Death Do Us Part 3. And we're just going to continue the wedding storyline with Kitty Pryde and Colossus. I just want to, again, point out, just what an awesome cover this is. You've got Colossus, Gambit, Storm, Nightcrawler in spacesuits. So it's just, even if I wasn't already reading this book and, telling it, touting how good of a book this is, I would have picked this book up immediately just after seeing this cover. It looks, it's a beautiful artwork and just really, really badass. I love it so much. Interested to see where this keeps going. Unfortunately, the wedding special, it was a fun little book, but really it was just kind of some short stories. They were nice, seeing some writers come together and tell different stories. Bachelor party, bachelorette party from last week. But this is kind of back to the meat and potato story, not just kind of the side story. So really excited to see where this goes. And then finally, to round up the pull list for this week, we have Old Man Logan, number 40. In weeks past, I was critical of Old Man Logan. I was kind of one of those books where I've kind of mentioned I'm still reading it and it's okay, but I'm kind of going through the motions on it. In issue number 39, Old Man Logan really stepped up its game, and it kind of went back to the like I mentioned, I believe I mentioned last week, the Wolverine and the X-Men kind of feel from that comic book series, and he's going back to the school. You kind of see some more of the younger mutants that the Logan character in that series dealt with, and now they're dealing with this alternate universe Old Man Logan that's been around since the death of Wolverine and the Secret Wars and what have you. But it really turned a corner, and I'm really hoping they keep up this momentum. Old Man Logan, the original by Mark Millar, is my favorite Marvel title. I cannot praise that book enough. It is my favorite Marvel graphic novel of all time. And the beginning of this series, it was a home run. It kind of tapered off, not necessarily a slight on how good the book is. It just tapered off. That just kind of happens, I do not envy the job of a comic writer having to continue to put out material like they do, and then the ones that do it well are legends. The ones that, can just manage to be okay are still, pretty good at their job for the creativity to be able to do something like that. But I've got to give credit. They really stepped up their game last issue with Old Man Logan, and I hope they continue to do so. So, Old Man Logan number 50 rounds out the pull list for the week. And then finally, on the collectible front, I got this one more Marvel Legends. This here Iron Man from the Infinity War line. I guess finally, with the exception of a Jeremy Renner Hawkeye and a Scarlett Johansson Black Widow, I now have kind of all the main actors represented in my Marvel Legends collection. I got, last week you saw I got the Chris Hemsworth Thor. I have a Chris Evans Captain America. I have the Paul Rudd, even though he's not really technically in the Avengers as of yet, the Paul Rudd Ant-Man. I have Chris Pratt Star-Lord. Have all the, for the most part, the Netflix characters, but now I finally have an Iron Man to go along with the rest of the characters, so you can kind of, can't say I completed it because I still got to get somehow, and I don't even think I'll be able to get these at the shop or in any kind of store right now. I have to go on eBay. Scarlett Johansson, Jeremy Renner for their characters respectively, but the collection is coming along, and I really you got to blame Nick for getting me started collecting these things, and it's been pretty cool trying to hunt these down, not only at the comic shops but on eBay and whatnot. But yeah, it's a pretty cool hobby. It's just so frustrating whenever you finally get them to pose and then they fall over. It's like, it's the opposite of a statue, to where, these have more maneuverability and you can do more with them, yet they don't stay put quite as well as a statue. But that is it for the pull list and the bounty of the comic shop adventure this week. I'd like to know what all you guys picked up on your comic shop trips in the comments section below. If you like what I do here on the channel, be sure to subscribe, share the video if you enjoyed it, and like the Facebook page at www.facebook.com/athleticgeek89 for more content, not just in comic books, but in wrestling, anime, video games, all walks of geek culture. But on that note, I'm the Athletic Geek, and I'm out. Have a good one. Later.